Professional wrestling is the one true sport. Other sports have their share of intense, dramatic moments, but nothing can compare with professional wrestling. Welcome to Wrestling History X, where two friends get together and talk about the story behind the matches. I'm Matt.
And I'm Michael.
Welcome to episode 58, Violent Storm in Kokugikan.
That was pretty close. Yeah, it's the G1 Climax final. But at this point in time, it was a violent storm.
It was a violent storm as it was a tour of shows produced by New Japan Pro Wrestling covering the G1 Climax tournament of 1991. It would run from August 7th to August 11th, multiple locations, mostly in Tokyo, and every single one of the shows, there was 4 in total, all ran between 11 and 12,000 people.
It's a lot of people.
Japan got it going on.
They show up.
And they're great crowds too when they do show up.
Oh my God, yeah. The crowds on this show, on the show are fantastic. It's like nothing. People are always like, "Oh, the Japanese crowd is so quiet and they clap," and but they're tearing this place to shreds, like the whole shows. Or I guess we go to a couple different places, don't we?
Yeah, there's a couple different locations
but they're at the top of their lungs in all of the buildings.
So what we're going to do on this episode is we're going to cover a couple of edited videos of the block matches that were during the tournament. And then we actually did find one full block match and then the full final match. All of those matches can be found on Dailymotion, while the final match itself is the only one that is on New Japan Pro World. So if you do have NJPW World, the final match is the only one that's out there.
Yeah, I believe one of the videos we watched was a fan cam.
Yes, the full block match that we found is a fan cam, so you can hear a lot of crowd reaction in that one.
Yeah.
There's no commentary at all, but it was
it'd be in Japanese anyway, so it's like
exactly.
I might be able to pull out a couple of words, but not enough to string together a sentence.
That's the other thing. All these matches, when there was commentary, it's all in Japanese. So us commenting on the commentary is here. It is. It was in Japanese.
It was in Japanese. Yeah, I understood when they said their names.
Exactly. So other events during the same time as the G1 Climax tournament in 1991. Alexa Bliss was actually born during the tournament.
Oh, cool. What is she, like a three-time champion? Two-time?
I think so.
One time?
She's at least 2. She might be a 3. Do you have any opinions on Alexa Bliss?
She's great. She's fun. One of the more she's great on the microphone, and that's kind of what you need to be in WWF. So she's got that down.
I totally agree. I mean, I think
her finisher is really cool.
Yeah, I feel like she's actually probably one of the better performers out of the dozen or so main roster women.
Yeah, I think she's not as talented as Charlotte Flair, but really not very many people are. And better in ring than, say, your Carmella, but she's also better on the microphone as well.
Agreed.
Granted, I do find Carmella pretty wonderfully annoying. She's got that down.
Yeah, you like Carmella way more than I do.
I mean, she's just good at being a brat, and it's entertaining.
And the other thing that I could find, Metallica would release the Black Album.
Hell yeah! Are you a Metallica fan?
The only Metallica album I own is the S&M album.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, I bet it's an S&M album. I never really got into the Black Album. I like the first, 4? I like the first 4 Metallica albums, but
and
that's kind of really about it.
The Black Album's kind of when they changed their sound just a little bit.
It's like a little more rock than metal.
Yeah.
And it's not as like thrashy, which the album before that, yeah. Injustice for All is pretty thrashy. It has like the quintessential thrash music production where everything's like super thin and there's like no bass. But the Black Album is definitely recorded better. But not a huge Metallica guy, but they are a super important band, and those first 4 records are all pretty great. Like Master of Puppets and Ride the Lightning, everyone deserves to listen to at least once, even if it's not your thing.
So let's go ahead and start talking about the G1 Climax.
What is the G1 Climax?
Good question. So New Japan Pro Wrestling had held an annual tournament since 1974. Now, New Japan has been in existence since 1972. So the first couple years, they didn't hold this tournament. And the name of those tournaments were names such as World League, MSG League, IWGP League. But basically, Antonio Inoki, who we've talked about in Dusty Finishes.
Yeah, but MSG League, is it like Madison Square Garden? Were they performing in Madison Square Garden?
I don't know. I think they were just in Japan.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out why it was called MSG League then.
I didn't look that up all the way.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I was just curious.
Like I was saying, Antonio Inoki basically ruled the wrestling world in New Japan at that time, winning the various tournaments 10 times in that time frame.
He was between Hulk Hogan with a better chin.
Between 74 and 91, 10 times. It was sometimes held as a single elimination tournament, but is usually held as a round robin with winners from 2 pools of wrestlers wrestling in a final to decide the winner. When they switched to the IWGP League in 1983, Hulk Hogan would actually win the tournament and would become the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, or at least he would win the championship. But it does not have the same lineage as the current belt that you see in NJPW as of today. Basically, that was the belt they held for like the first 4 years, and basically whoever won the tournament would then challenge the last year's winner who held the belt in the final, and that's what they would decide. And that was from like 83 to 87. In 1991, New Japan would establish the G1 Climax name, and even though it is considered a continuation of the previous tournaments, officially those previous ones are not part of the G1 lineage. So that's why we're starting now in 1991 with these. The 1991 G1 Climax would feature such wrestlers as Tatsumi Fujinami, who we've seen face Ric Flair a couple times.
Yep.
Keiji Muto, who is the Great Muta. Scott Norton, who we saw at the Super Show. Vader. Bam Bam Bigelow. Masahiro Chono. Riki Choshu. And Shinya Hashimoto. Now, Shinya Hashimoto is the only one that we haven't seen out of these 8 guys. So we're kind of familiar with these guys a little bit. Not a whole lot, but a little bit.
We've seen a good amount of Muta.
Exactly.
And some Vader. I feel like we haven't seen Bam Bam in a while. I assume he's just out here hanging out in Japan.
Yeah, him and Vader tag teaming it up and crushing Japanese souls. So those 8 men were split into 2 blocks. And like I said, we're going to cover 3 block matches and then the final. And basically what I did was I went through and found if I could find video of the best matches. And so we're going to cover the 4 matches, and these were the ones that were rated the best, basically.
Yeah, like the highlights of the first annual G1 Climax.
Exactly. So, not going to be a super long episode, but please join us I'm going to post all of these videos on Twitter so people can find them easier, but they are, like I said, they are all on Daily Motion as well. So let's head off to our first match that we're going to cover. It was Shinya Hashimoto versus Masahiro Chono in a B block match. Like I mentioned, Hashimoto, we haven't seen him wrestle before. So therefore, the first thing we need to do
is find out his accolades.
He is an NWA, a New Japan Pro Wrestling and Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Famer. And this match would take place on August 9th. And it is a edited down video. So we join this match in progress around the 25-minute mark of a 30-minute match.
So we get the closing stretch.
Exactly. Chono with multiple running kicks. Masahiro goes for a fourth, but Shinya with a sweeping heel kick to take him down.
And Chono's kicks are scary.
They are.
they're like really they could be shoot kicks for all I know. Like they look nasty.
Hashimoto rolls Chono over into a single leg crab, but Masahiro makes it to the ropes. Shinya with a belly to belly for a 2 count. Chono's firing back with an enziguri and a clothesline, rolls Hashimoto over into the single leg crab of his own, but then turns it into the STF. But Shinya grabs the ropes.
And he's the creator of the STF, right? Or at least,
correct.
Yeah.
Chono is the creator of the STF. Yeah.
Outside of really brutal kicks and cool goatees.
Hashimoto's up first to hit a DDT for a 2 count, then hits multiple jumping elbow drops. The ring announcer is counting down the time as Shinya goes for the cover, but the bell rings and it is a time limit draw.
That's the thing about the G1. You got to have a time limit draw, maybe once every other tournament, because they're only 20-minit matches, right? Or
30-minute matches.
30 minutes now?
Matches.
Okay.
Yeah. So post-match, the two men shake hands out of respect for each other for their hard-fought match. And this would give both men 1 point for a draw in the B block.
Yeah, you get 2 points if you win, 1 point for a draw, 0 points if you lose.
And because of this match, these two men would end up being tied after the initial round robin with 5 points in the B block. So they would be tied. Okay. I think I said tied a few more times. Let me say it a few more times.
They were tied. Yeah, that's fun. That's why we like this tournament so much, is because things like...
So nowadays, if there was a tie, they would usually do... Because usually someone will beat someone else to make it not a tie, or if it is a tie, someone beat the highest ranking. I think that's what they do now. Back then, if they were tied,
coin toss,
they would have a second match or a playoffs, basically.
Okay, I was like, it's either going to be or a coin toss. And I was like, coin toss seems kind of doesn't seem very wrestling.
So, guess what? We're going to cover another Chono Shinya match, not right now, but here in a few minutes. But first, we're going to go off to our second match. It's Big Van Vader versus Keiji Muto in an A block match. And this match was from August 10th.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. So was he just doing the Great Muta gimmick in the US, or was he doing it in Japan as well, and then he just kind of got out of it recently in Japan and started going by his real name?
From what I understand, I think he did wear the mask more in America and not New Japan, but it's kind of like a Finn Balor type thing, and the it's like a sometimes thing. Yeah.
Or even Liger did Kenshin Liger a couple times. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I was just curious because I've basically only seen him as Muta at this point, and here there's no mist, no tongues out. He's just an athletic man going to the ring for a challenge.
So the version we watched of this match was that fan cam version that we talked about a little bit earlier, but it is the full match.
Yeah, the fan cam actually was kind of fun. It wasn't bad considering how old it was.
I thought it was at a perfect angle. The footage, I mean, there's one little snafu in the video, but it's literally like maybe like 10 seconds worth of tape that we don't see.
Yeah, as far as hand cam fan videos from 91 go, like this one's pretty solid. I was impressed.
I thought so too. Both men come out. Like we said, Muto doesn't have his mask on. Vader doesn't have his mask on that we usually see him have on.
Oh, does he? I mean, spoiler alert, we see him later. So, but he does have it later, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's wore it at both of the WCW shows that we've seen him at.
Yeah.
But here in Japan, he's not wearing it for this match.
Maybe it needed to, they needed to pump more steam into it. Had to send it off to the manufacturer, get the button fixed.
Well, I mean, just even his red,
the red
badge.
Okay. I was like, I thought he wore the big one, but I feel like he doesn't do that until later in his career.
But he has worn it at both the WCW shows that we've seen him at.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, his mankind type of thing.
Yes.
Except for, before that, but it's like, it's made out of like dog collars. It's like nylon as opposed to leather.
So the match gets going. The two lock up with Vader using his power early on, utilizing strikes, chokes until Muto rolls out to the floor to regroup. Quick strikes once Keiji gets back in to send Vader out to regroup. Big slap from Vader, which he follows up with a clothesline and a power slam for a 2 count. Muto is tossed to the ropes, rolls under a clothesline, and turns to hit a drop kick. Begins to run the ropes and tries for a shoulder block that is no-sold by Vader. Then a spinning heel kick followed by another drop kick sends the big man to the floor. We see a short arm clothesline by Vader, who puts a modified crucifix hold on, hits a body avalanche to send Muto to the floor. This is where we lose the video for a moment, but as we return, Vader is continuing the attack on the outside, brawling into the crowd, tossing Keiji's head into a ring post. Muto is rolled back in as Vader gets on the apron. Keiji springs to life with a drop kick, hits a plancha, and then Irish whips Vader into the guardrail, followed by a handspring back elbow.
We have seen that before.
That's classic Muto right there.
Oh, yeah, totally. Also, I will say, I guess, as great as the great Muto, he never flipped into the ring, but I don't believe. But here he's like grabbing the top rope and like flipping into the ring, and it's just cool. Like before the match starts.
It's probably because since he was a foreigner in all the other matches that we've seen him.
Yeah, he was like
the heel.
Yeah.
And heels aren't supposed to do these spectacular moves, basically.
No, that's why he was shooting people in the face with mist.
Exactly. Once back in the ring, Muto continues the attack with a snapmare, twisting elbow drop for a 2 count. But Vader fires back with lefts and rights, hits a clothesline for a near fall, before locking on a dragon sleeper. But Keiji escapes.
Those Vader rights and lefts, they just hit harder in Japan. Whether they're Japanese or not, they just hit harder. And he's doing like this like forearm, just like slamming his forearms into his face. It's pretty nasty looking.
Vertical suplex attempt by Vader, but Muto floats over and starts running the ropes to hit a forearm to knock Vader down, and follows that with a drop kick and a back suplex. Keiji goes up to the top rope to hit a springboard drop kick, but then goes to the top turnbuckle to hit the moonsault for the pin, and no. Vader kicks out.
You're going to have to do more than that to keep Big Van on his back.
Muto with the Irish whip goes for the handspring back elbow, but Vader catches him and hits a back suplex.
Can't keep going back to the well.
Keiji is tossed to the ropes, ducks a clothesline, comes back off the ropes for a sunset flip, but Vader stays up and then butt splashes down.
Hell yeah. He's got those short little T-Rex arms he probably couldn't reach, so he's just like, fuck it, I'm going to sit on him.
And that's followed by a splash for a near fall. Vader with another Irish whip, hitting a body avalanche in the corner, hits the power bomb for the pin, and no! Muto kicks out. Massive strikes from Vader, tosses Keiji to the ropes, and misses a clothesline. Muto turns, but Vader delivers a roundhouse right to knock him down. Keiji is tossed again, ducks a clothesline, but grabs Vader to pull him over into a backslide pin for a 2 count. Vader goes for a body slam, but Muto cradles him for a small package for another near fall. Keiji's hit with another body avalanche in the corner after an Irish whip, but he shakes it off immediately to go up to the top turnbuckle to go for a crossbody. But Vader catches him, goes to body slam him, but Muto uses the momentum to roll over on top for the pin and the win.
It's do that when we're not in person.
All of a sudden, we see Zabutons come flying into the ring.
Oh, I was like a Zabuton. Pillow toss.
The seat cushions.
Yeah, the seat cushion.
And they land in the ring and they're like burying Muto underneath them.
Yeah. It's a, sumo tradition, so it's Japanese tradition. But, whenever there's like an upset or shit gets wild, you throw typically it's saved for like when somebody beats a Yokozuna, but that's kind of makes sense. Keiji Muto just beat Van Vader, who's like 3 times his size.
But once Muta's back to his feet, Vader shows his respect by shaking hands and lifting Keiji's arm. And then Muto would continue to celebrate in the ring. This victory would put Keiji in control of Block A and would help him make it to the finals. This match was also rated 5 stars by Mr. Dave Meltzer.
And it was, what I saw of it was pretty great. The finish is smart because it's like, oh, he just pulled one over on Vader. Like,
I love that
you can't pin Vader clean like that. You just got to persevere, and take advantage when you can.
I love that they both got their finishers in, the other kicked out, and then we went to the actual finish with the momentum roll.
Yeah, and that was a good
and that's how a smaller person usually beats a bigger person, is by surprise with a cradle or a momentum roll type thing. So I thought the match was.
If he just moonsaulted Vader and won, I'd been like, that was weird.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna go to our third match of Shinya Hashimoto versus Masahiro Chono, and no, I'm not repeating myself. Like I said earlier, this is the B block decision match.
Yeah, when I went to watch all of this, I was like, wait. As I was like typing in the match or whatever, I was like, wait a second. Like I was like, oh, it's a different date or whatever. But I was like, we already saw this, because I didn't realize that it was a
rematch.
I realized that they like were tied in points or whatever because I didn't do the research.
Plus, you couldn't understand Japanese.
No, exactly. I'm sure they would have told me all about it if I could understand Japanese.
So this match is from August 11th, and we see the introductions of both men, but then, as with the other Shinya Chono match, it is edited down
right to the end.
And so we cut
I was
ahead.
like, oh, sorry. Yeah, I was like, oh, cool. Like the introduction. Maybe I'll see like some stuff from like early in the match, but it's like as soon as they do the introduction, just like quick cut to like like a winded Chono getting his ass beat.
We cut ahead in the match with Shinya hitting stiff kicks to Chono, and the ref is having to make sure that Chono isn't knocked out.
Yeah,
his kicks
like
were so stiff.
He's definitely fighting from underneath. The man is buried at this point.
Masahiro's tossed to the ropes, but he immediately just falls down. Like he doesn't even have the power to make it from one side of the ring to the other.
Yeah, which is weird to see when you're just like thrown into a match. So it's like, oh, like that's really cool. I bet that would mean a lot more if I saw the previous like 10, 15 minutes.
Hashimoto hits the DDT, a rolling fireman's carry slam for a near fall. More stiff kicks, goes for a suplex, but Chono floats over, kicking Shinya in the leg, and both men are down. Masahiro with an enziguri locks on the STF, but Hashimoto quickly makes his way to the ropes.
And they're like crawling, like hands and knees, like really fast to the ropes a few times.
I wouldn't want to get locked in a Chono STF.
Oh, he created it.
Chono grabs Shinya, drags him back to the middle of the ring, and looks to put the single leg crab on him, but turns it into the STF again. But Hashimoto breaks the hold once more by grabbing the ropes. Shinya with a spinning heel kick for a 2 count. Looks for the suplex, but again Masahiro locks on the STF, with Hashimoto submitting this time. So the two men show respect to each other, and this would make Chono the winner of the B block and would move on to the final that we'll cover right now.
Right now, yeah. I thought it was like, obviously they're deep into this match, but when he finally gets that STF on, and the way he locks it on from the suplex position was really cool. But Shinya Hashimoto, he taps like basically immediately. Like once it's on, he just got it in there and it's quick.
I mean, it was the third time he had
put in
it in literally 3 minutes. So,
and I feel like that's kind of the best way for me for like submission matches to end. It's like, oh yeah, you got it on him a few times, or you've been really working this limb, and then get it on there and they just like can't do it. It's like when you're holding it for 4 minutes and then they tap. It's just like, okay, all right, we could have done this match, and and it can end excitingly. And also, what's the deal with the single leg crab? Is that just like a Hashimoto thing?
To me, I feel like it's a Japanese thing because that's the one submission hold that they teach all the young lions.
But they do regular Boston crabs too.
I mean, I think it's
full crabs.
It's the upgrade from the Boston crab, the single leg.
The single leg crab, the half crab. I was just like, oh, come on. Why didn't you grab the other one?
So our fourth match is Keiji Muto versus Masahiro Chono in the G1 Climax final for 1991. And this match would also be from August 11th. So that means that Masahiro had his B block final match halfway card, and then he fought in the main event in the final.
Man, that's pretty fucking brutal.
My question, because we saw the introductions of both men, who got the bigger pop?
I don't know.
Keiji or Masahiro?
I feel like that Muto got the bigger pop.
It was very close.
It's very close, but I think he had like the edge.
So the two men are frozen in place. They're staring each other down, and they finally lock up with no one getting an advantage until Muto hits a back suplex, but the two men are still locked up. A side headlock takeover by Keiji, reversed into a head scissors by Chono, which Muto escapes and locks on an ankle lock. Then Masahiro takes the back and reverses into an armbar, but Muto rolls on top for a pin attempt multiple times before making it to the ropes to break the hold. Some good chain wrestling there to start a match off.
Oh yeah. I love it.
We get a drop toe hold by Chono, goes for a reverse chin lock that Keiji reverses into a wrist lock, but a right hand by Masahiro breaks the hold, but Muto fires back with a spinning heel kick. Snapmare, twisting elbow drop by Keiji, head slam into the turnbuckle, an Irish whip followed by a handspring back elbow, but Chono has moved out of the way, grabs Muto for a German suplex. Masahiro goes for the armbar, but again Keiji makes it to the ropes to break it. The two men start firing away at each other with strikes until a headbutt by Muto takes Chono down. Keiji starts working on the leg, locking on an Indian deathlock before turning it into a Muto lock, and then changes it into a bridging butterfly hold to work the shoulders.
Yeah, it's pretty wild though, like just the mat chain wrestling that they do here. Also, I love that the young lions are just like all leaning on the like apron, like watching on intently,
learning from the masters.
Yeah.
Muto with a snapmare goes to an armbar, which Masahiro keeps rolling on top for pin attempts until just stomping on Keiji's head to escape.
It's one way to get out of a hold.
Big kicks from Chono to send Muto to the floor and into the guardrail, followed by a tope suicido, then climbs to the top rope, coming off with a double axe handle. Masahiro drags Keiji back into the ring, hits multiple pile drivers, looks to turn him over for a single leg crab, but Muto makes it to the ropes and rolls to the outside.
You know what's kind of wild is this crowd is like hot for absolutely everything, but then they no-sell pile drivers. Like the crowd's like not popping for like multiple like nasty pile drivers, but they're like losing their minds like every other moment. And I'm like, what is the deal here? Are they just afraid for the man? And they're like, or what? But I just thought that was funny.
I think everyone does a pile driver probably, but not everyone does some of this other stuff. So maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, but like I think it popped for like almost every pile driver I've ever seen to varying degrees.
I mean, it's either a pop of hell yes or oh my god, that dude's neck just got broke.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that didn't look so correct.
Chono follows out to the floor to continue the attack, goes for another pile driver, but Keiji back body drops him, taking the fight into the crowd, where then he pile drives Masahiro where there is no padding.
Yeah, nasty. On the concrete. I don't know where they are, but it's probably not the Tokyo Dome.
It's not the Dome. I want to say it's there in my memory somewhere, and I can't think of it.
It's not important. It was in 1991.
Muto rolls Chono back in, goes to the top rope to hit a missile dropkick for the 2 count. Back suplex by Keiji, says, "That's it," and hits a bridging German suplex, but just for a near fall. Another pile driver by Muto, another 2 count. A dragon suplex, but Chono's in the ropes. Keiji with a snapmare starts to head to one corner, but realizes he won't be able to make it from that corner. So he goes to the opposite corner, up to the top, coming off with a moonsault, but Masahiro has moved. Chono with more kicks, locks on the STF, but Muto's crawling and makes it to the ropes. Masahiro with a body slam goes to the top rope, hitting a flying shoulder tackle, and locks on an octopus lock. But again, Keiji crawls his way to the ropes. Back suplex by Chono, goes for a vertical suplex that is blocked and reversed by Muto, followed by putting Masahiro in an octopus lock of his own. But Chono rolls over right into the ropes. And the reason they were putting octopus locks, because that's Inoki's thing, so they're building upon history, which New Japan's real good about doing. So
yeah, totally. It's like that is. I haven't seen a lot of Inoki, but I know that of Inoki. So it's pretty well known.
Keiji goes up to the top rope. Masahiro's up and tries to hit a drop kick, but Muto leapfrogs over him, hitting a back suplex, and goes back up to the top rope to hit another missile drop kick.
That was a really, really great moment.
Both men are down, but Chono is up first to lock the STF back on, but Keiji immediately makes it to the ropes. Muto tosses Masahiro to the ropes, goes for the drop kick, but Chono holds onto the ropes, followed by a big kick that sends Keiji into the ropes, who then comes back with a flying forearm. Muto with a backbreaker goes to the top rope to try for the moonsault, but Masahiro gets his knees up.
Knees up.
Chono then hits a jackknife powerbomb for the pin and the win.
I can't wait to do this in person again. But that powerbomb is really nasty. Like he plants the shit out of him. Yeah. Like if that was like dirt, there'd be like a fucking 6-inch indentation. And of course, the pillows fly, or as what did you call them? The foot buttons?
Zabutons.
Sabutons.
So the winner of the G1 Climax #1 is Masahiro Chono. Shinya Hashimoto comes out. He's there to congratulate Chono. Then Muto and Masahiro hug and show respect to each other. And the reason this was done is because these 3 men, Shinya, Keiji, and Masahiro, are better known as Token Shenyushko, or in English, the 3 Musketeers. And they would be the leaders of New Japan into a new era.
Yeah.
We've had the Inoki era, and now we're moving into the Three Musketeers era, basically. Chono's handed a pair of huge trophies.
Yeah, why two? I guess, yeah.
Who knows?
They couldn't find one big enough, so they just got two really big ones.
He's handed a 5 million yen check, which...
Yeah, I love a big check. I love a big check.
Which I did the math, and 5 million yen is equal to $46,000.
Currently?
Currently.
Okay.
So maybe back in 91, it might have been...
Yeah, but yeah, in 91, $46,000 was a lot more than 40 than it is now.
Exactly.
So, just for inflation.
Masahiro then takes the mic, which of course is in Japanese, so I have no clue what he says, but he does leave the crowd in a chant that really gets everyone just riled up and like cheering.
I was pumped
even
and
more.
I didn't even know what he was saying.
I know. I was like, yes. I was like, where's Chris Charlton when I need him to translate for me? So the Three Musketeers raise their hands and the video ends, and that's all the matches we have. So Michael Temple, what are your overall thoughts of Violent Storm in Kokugikan?
It's about as, like, if you're going to be sitting down and looking at a screen, that's about as good of an hour as you can spend staring at a screen. Not only like, as a wrestling fan, but like because everything still holds up. It's not Chinlock City. You know what I mean? It's not Chinlock City. It's not even the holds. Like this last match has tons of holds, but it's never boring, and they don't even. It seems like they'll get bored and like go into another hold.
I know
it's like it looks like you got that locked in, but they're like, oh no, I'm gonna work some other part of his body now.
I know he did the Indian Deathlock and then changed it into the Muto lock, and then was like, okay, I've had this on long enough. Now I'm gonna do this bridging butterfly hold, which I was like, that's the cool. I've never seen that move before, and I was like, that's the coolest thing. It's so I didn't even know what to call it.
Yeah, I know. I also love that the intensity in which they're like, all right, I can't take much more of this. I'm just going to crawl on my elbows and like will through it. Like there's a lot of elbow crawling, and it's kind of cool. It's just like a little bit. Normally somebody would like slowly crawl to the ropes or whatever, but here it's like, okay, I'm going to use my last burst of energy to try to get out of this. It's just kind of a different like way of like selling, or I don't know. You know what I'm kind of trying to say?
Yeah.
It's just like a different
intensity.
Intensity, different like ethos of like, it's the fighting spirit, right?
So when we were deciding what shows we wanted to cover, this was not originally on the schedule. We really weren't going to do any Japanese stuff until like we hit the 2000s, because that's kind of the modern era of New Japan. But the more
at that point you can actually get the material.
Exactly. But the more we thought about it, the more we leaned towards adding what we could, even if it was only a match here, a highlight video there. That said, I'm so glad we made that decision.
Oh yeah. I mean, I hate WCW and I love hate WWF, but the fresh air, even if this was only a 1 hour like show we like cobbled together, it's like a vacation.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. I mean, I've enjoyed these 4 matches so much that I've literally watched them several times.
Oh, you have?
Over the last couple of days. I'm just like, I want to watch that match again.
Yeah. I mean, how often, like, there's plenty of times you'll be like, oh man, I got to watch that again. But like outside of revisiting like old stuff, do you rewatch a match? Like I'll rewatch a match from like Wrestle Kingdom or something like that, but how often do you, watch SummerSlam and then go back and watch a match from SummerSlam? Like, I'll go back and watch like Steamboat and like Macho Man or Steamboat Flair. How often do you just rewatch matches after we've watched a 3-hour show?
Not very often.
No.
I mean, there's very
I think
few,
about it sometimes.
There's very few that I've even thought about doing. So, I mean, the fact that I went and watched I've watched all 4 of these multiple times tells you a whole lot about this. And I just want to reiterate that if you're listening to this and you haven't watched any of this yet, I'm going to post all these links onto Twitter at WrestlingHistoX. Please click on them.
Yeah,
Do yourself a favor and watch them.
I mean, the first clip's only like 4 minutes long, and honestly, if you just type in the 2 men's names, like they show up immediately. Like, you know, blank versus blank. Chono starts kicking the shit out of Hashimoto. All right, I like perked up, like my posture got better, and I was like, yeah, and I was in.
Good. Where's the smart marks at? All right, fuck you.
I think it's time we smark it up. So I know we only covered 4 matches, but favorite moments? I mean, my favorite, I mentioned it just a few minutes ago, the switch from the Indian Deathlock to the Muto lock to the bridging butterfly hold was gorgeous. You've mentioned the stiff kicks a few times.
There's a moment, I believe, in the last match where Muto like leapfrog
drop
that was
kick.
like, yeah, when he leapfrogs that drop kick, and what does he do after that?
He then hits a back suplex.
Yes.
Goes up to the top rope and hits a missile drop kick.
Yeah, that's my highlight. Is that because like he leapfrogged a drop kick and then just like did another like equally amazing things like butter, just like right into it. And as soon as he leapfrogged that drop kick, I didn't even the other 2 moves before I like rewound it to see it again because I was like flabbergasted. I fucking loved it. So that's definitely my highlight in a hour spent of watching like basically a highlight reel.
Anything disappointing out of these 4 matches?
I mean, it would have been nice if we could have had the whole show.
Whole
but
show.
Like
the whole matches.
Outside of that, yeah. Like maybe the draw, if I had a little bit more context. But that's not, I can't be disappointed about that.
To me, it was super disappointing that when I went looking on New Japan World, that the only match that they had available from this entire tour was the final match.
Yeah.
And that I had to go out there and find video other places. It seems a little ass backwards for a less civilized wording.
Yeah, it's like, why not this?
Why aren't these matches on your streaming service?
I mean, maybe they have weird rights issues or something.
It's possibly that's the only thing I can think of is that it's a rights issue of some sort because
I mean, this is the first G1, which is like the biggest and most important tournament of your whole promotion, and it has your 3 musketeers. This is like the coming out party for them, right?
Exactly.
In a way.
Who are we gonna give best performer to tonight?
I don't fucking know, man.
All of them.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I guess we'll give it to Chono because he won.
Sure.
I mean, that seems. But yeah,
I was not disappointed at any moment.
No.
By any of these guys. So.
No.
Was there anything?
I'd like to see like some of the other matches. We didn't get to see everybody. Like Scott Norton versus Vader. They might have been in the same block or something.
Actually, if you want to, I should have mentioned this earlier. If you want to add on Daily Motion, they actually do have more of the block matches.
Oh, okay.
I just curated it down to these 4, so we weren't just sitting here talking about.
Yeah, because Scott Norton's not winning the
exactly
G1.
So this episode is very much a curated version of 91's G1 Climax.
That's cool. Well, I might have to go back and look at those out of curiosity.
Anything surprising? Are you surprised by anything?
How engaging a match full of holds would be in 91. Because the most matches I've seen in 91 that are full of holds are not nearly as engaging as this one. So, like there was no, I don't know if there was one reverse chin lock where in that whole last match, they were always doing something more interesting, or there was a reverse chin lock as well as some other kind of hold happening.
I think one of the surprising things for me was that we watched an entire year of great Muta in NWA, WCW, and it felt like there he was a very experienced wrestler, but knowing now what I know after watching this show and doing the little bit of research that I've done, that was basically his excursion.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's pretty
so
crazy
it's like,
too. Like that's the beginning of Muta's career, is like him going and hanging out in the US like for a little bit.
Yeah, he was basically a young lion, and after you're a young lion in New Japan, you are sent somewhere on excursion to learn from different people.
Yeah, they go or the UK or
Mexico
or the United States, basically, like the four places where wrestling's a thing. Like it is in other places too, but like those are the places where there's like a consistent scene over time.
And I was just like, we loved Muta from the moment he showed up.
I mean, Muta was over even for fans. There was Muta signs and stuff in that year that he was there until they buried him in one night. But I guess you can bury a young lion in one night, right?
Exactly.
In a different territory. So like in hindsight, it's like, okay, well they did that to him, but he's going on to greater things.
And now for a look back even further into the history of wrestling.
The dusty finish.
Terry Funk had held the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship for 14 months when he walked into Toronto, Ontario, Canada on February 6th, 1977. That night, former champion Harley Race would win the title to begin his second reign as champion. Race, after losing the belt 4 years prior, had been going from territory to territory, collecting several regional titles, including becoming the first Mid-Atlantic United States champion, which is still defended to this day as the WWE United States Championship. All of these title wins would keep Harley in contention for the world title, and Race vowed he would only need one chance to regain it. In the match against Funk, Harley Race would use an Indian Deathlock, a rarely used submission hold, but one that would put great pressure on Funk's injured leg. After winning the belt, Race would go on to show his dominance by defending the title up to 6 times a week and holding the belt for over 3 years.
6 times a week, man.
Next week, SummerSlam 1991.
Hell yeah. This is our third SummerSlam? Did it start in 89?
I think it's our 4th one.
Okay.
After we've now covered WrestleMania, I think is the last show we've covered from WWF.
Yeah, we had a big WCW run there for a minute.
They ran a bunch of shows during the summer, but
we did 3 WCW shows in a row?
I want to say
because we did the Super Show, and then there was like the
that's what it was. Super Show, Super Brawl, and then Great American Bash, and then this week, of course, we headed to the Far East to cover some Japanese wrestling.
Yeah, I knew there was a reason I was excited when I heard Vince McMahon open SummerSlam. I was like, oh, it's different. I feel like I haven't been here in a while.
But the music from this week's show is The Score by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. That's actually New Japan's theme.
Oh, really? At this point in time?
There's like an excerpt from that song that is the theme song from New Japan.
I didn't catch that. Emerson, Lake and Palmer, first band I ever saw live.
Wow.
I saw them open for Jethro Tull.
That's interesting.
I was like in first grade.
And Masahiro Chono was our winner. So we're going to play his theme music called Fantastic City by Osamu Suzuki. And you're hearing it right now. So I'm hoping you're loving it.
It sounds pretty fantastic.
And very urban.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It sounds... I would put this in my headphones if I was just strolling down the streets of Tokyo.
If you like this show, please go out there, rate and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts at. The best thing you can do to help us out is leaving those reviews or telling a friend, family member, just whoever. Let them know that you like us and you'd like them to listen to us as well. So
LFO. Who knows?
Exactly. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can always email us at wrestlinghistoryx@gmail.com, or you can find us on Twitter at WrestlingHistoX. That's Wrestling HISTOX. And like I mentioned earlier, I'll be posting all the clips, or at least links to the clips of the videos.
Yeah.
So they're a little bit easier to find if you don't want to hassle yourself going to Dailymotion and trying to search for them.
If you just Google like G1 Climax 91, I would suggest watching every video that shows up.
That's
because I know that
true.
the ones that I didn't catch will be watched very
shortly.
soon. Very shortly, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even this evening.
Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week.